What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. So got some good news and some bad news for you. The good news is the DEWAUKEE shirts. They're coming back. We're gonna do another run of them. I get so many questions about this shirt. All throughout the videos when I'm wearing these things, people are wanting to know where they can get them. So I contacted the guy at Success Print Shop. This was the guy that ran the first shirts. We're gonna do it the exact same way. So if you didn't get one of these the first time, you get a second chance to get one if you want one. And he's gonna have all the sizes available. Whatever you guys wanna order, you can order. And if you didn't catch it last time, basically you order the shirt within a 2-week period. At the end of the 2-week period, it cuts off, and then he makes all the shirts and sends them out. And he sends them out in this cool plastic bag with the size and his little flyer here. And these are high quality shirts, I really like them. So this is what it looks like. It has a finished Carpentry TV logo right here. And then of course DEWAUKEE on the back, which is hilarious because when I walk around through Lowe's and Home Depot, it's kind of funny. You get some looks, people are kind of like, what is this? You know, it's kind of just a novelty fun shirt. I should probably make one that says Lowe's Depot too. That'd probably be a big hit. But anyways, that's the good news. Check the link at the very top of the description and you can pick one of those up. Now the bad news is the wainscot here. It's been a long time since I've done this. As a matter of fact, let me see when the last video was. So yeah, it looks like the last progress I made on this project was a video called Wainscot Cap and Base, and that was 3 months ago, which is pathetic. So we've made some more progress since that video, but the bad news is that the video that I made to get up to this point got messed up on my computer and I lost it. Basically, my video editor just crashed and I lost all the files inside of it. But that's okay. I'll catch you up to speed on what I've done so far since the cap and base, and it's real simple. So really the only thing you guys missed out on from the last video that crashed is 2 things. And that was, number 1, this little trim board that's running along the inside of each of these panels, which I call a miniature backbend, and you'll see why here in a second. And the cutting of this Cove molding in here. Now that's pretty basic, the Cove molding. Basically it's just making a bunch of 45 cuts and trimming this out like picture frame style. But this is unique, this little trim board running around the inside of the panel. And the only reason it's unique is because I've never seen it before. So what that is I got this board at Lowe's. This is called a lattice board. It's a 1/4 inch thick by 1.5 inches wide. But I ended up ripping it on the table saw to 1 inch for the dimensions that I wanted. So we ripped that board down to 1 inch, mitered the insides here, and nailed it inside of the framing of this wainscot here in this panel. So I'll take this out. And now what we're gonna do in this video is we're gonna cut our tempered hardboard. We're gonna glue it on here, staple it to the drywall, and then we're gonna trim it out with that Cove. And really, that is it for this install. Now, one other thing real quick before I get started installing the hardboard and Cove, I wanted to show you guys what this lattice board looks like just on its own. And it looks really cool. You can see the added depth and that amazing shadow line that it casts. It just looks really good. And I actually considered not even adding the Cove right here and just having this board like that because I was really pleased with the way that looked. But we decided to go ahead and add this Cove to it. It felt like it needed it. It softened the edge. And since the cap has the Cove and then the base also has the Cove, we went ahead and just went with the Cove. It made sense. But I may experiment with just using this on an accent wall and not any panel molding inside of it, just to see how it looks, because I really, really like that shadow line that it casts. And I think it could do wonders on its own. It's a real classy look, but like I mentioned, obviously we're going with the Cove, but that's what that came out looking like just on its own. So I already have my tempered hardboard here cut down for the heights of all these panels, but I just need to cut for the width. I'll measure how wide they are and then cut for that, and I'll do that on the track saw. And my favorite track saw setup lately has been just 2 of these DeWalt saw stands with 2 2x6s. I get a lot of support out of these. They're cheap, so if I cut through one of them, I'll just buy another one. It's no big deal. But I just set the blade to where it barely cuts in to the board, and it seems to work out fine. So I haven't had any issues using these as supports for cutting these big sheets, and that's my preferred method right now. This right here, you may be wondering this, like, why do I even need this? Because this is already smooth. It looks smooth on camera, but it's really not smooth at all. I could sand it down and make it really smooth like we've done on some certain accent walls if you've been following our channel. But when you can just cut a sheet of tempered hardboard and throw it in there, it's much easier than spending the time putting compound and sanding it and all that. The only times we do that is when we can't fit a sheet. Like the design doesn't allow us to fit a sheet without making seams and everything. So that's why we're putting this in there. Now to do this, I like to use two products, not together, but just, these are my favorite ones. This one right here is the Loctite Power Grab, and it says on here, it's a little bit misleading, but it says 0 seconds right there. I don't know, that's weird, 0 seconds, that they're saying that's how fast it sticks. I don't know. A little strange there, but this is the preferred one right here. This is the Loctite PL3X. This is really good stuff. I've completely gotten away from the liquid nails. I just don't like it. I don't feel like it bonds as much, and it just has failed in the past on me. So no more liquid nails. Now when it comes to applying this to the hardboard, I would always say go more rather than less, because you want, the wall's not gonna be straight. It's not ever gonna be just completely flush. Well, maybe like on a small section like this, but get in the habit of being used to things having bows and dips in them. So the more you put on here without being ridiculous, the better it's gonna fill in those voids. One of the things I hate the most is whenever you put up a piece of this hardboard and then you go up and push on it and you can feel it give. That's just really irritating to me. And it's happened to me in the past. After the install is completely done, I'm going like touching pieces of it and I'm like, I need to use more adhesive. So I've learned that lesson. Take it from me, don't just be one of those people who does the X. So you know, oh yeah, just the X. That's not enough. You need to fill in all of this, and you need to use a lot more than that. Or there's the people that you'll pull some old work off and it's just a squiggly line. Like, really, is that doing anything? You might as well not even use it. Use enough of this stuff, get around the corners where it's gonna wanna pull up. And then just get it in everywhere. So where it can compress and fill in all those voids and dips. That should be good right there. And then I need to pop out this trim. Slide this into place. And I never make these like dead on exact fits. I always give like a little bit of play on the sides and the top and bottom. And the reason for that is I don't want to just unnecessarily have to fight to push this thing in when the trim is going to cover it anyways. So it's not going to matter whenever you have your trim hiding that little section right there where it's not cut perfect to size. So that is essentially it. So I'm gonna ask you to go over there because I don't want a staple to deflect and hit you in the face. And that's how it's done right there. So put your safety glasses on, man. One thing I wanted to mention real quick, just so you guys know, I'm not shooting through this cove into the hardboard. I'm actually shooting through the cove up into the rails and the stiles. So I'm pointing the gun like this and then shooting up. So my nails are going into this top board here. Same thing on the sides. I'm just gonna take the nail gun and just shoot it straight. Not into the wall, into the stiles and rails. And the biggest reason for doing it that way is this hardboard right here, it doesn't like to accept fasteners at all. Even the staples that I use, it likes to reject those. But especially these 18 gauge brads, it likes to deflect them, reject them, and send them in all kinds of crazy directions. So I just go ahead and opt to shoot into the stiles and into the rails. Now the reason I'm calling this panel molding setup kind of a miniature back band is because it's a small replica of what I've done around the door casings and window casing in this room. This lattice board right here is basically equivalent to the 1x2 that I put around my doors and window, and it has the same 1/8 inch reveal from the outside of the lattice board to the inside of the cove there. So I made that, if I can get this to focus, I made that spacing 1/8 of an inch, and then the cove molding just goes in and wraps around the inside panel. And just that minor little detail right there just makes a world of difference. Gives you that extra depth, extra shadow line, which I'm all about. It just looks amazing. And I'll show you what I'm replicating if you missed it. This right here is the door casing, and we've got that same 1/8 inch reveal right there between the 1x2 and the cove molding. And then the cove molding just wraps around the inside. I don't have this nailed in yet, but it just wraps around the inside of the door. So same exact concept, just on a smaller scale. So we're getting down to the last bit of the install for this. All I have left to do is the hardboards with the outlets. And I get a few questions about this. How do I do it? It's super simple. All you do is just measure from one side, and like that, I would say that is 2, and then we'll go 4 1/4 there. And then you'd measure from the next shortest side. So right there, I'd go 2 1/4 and then 6. So all I have to do is take my hardboard, lay it down, and then just transfer that over. But first, let me make sure I have it the right way. So we'll just transfer that over. So then we'll go 2 1/4 and then 6. Now at this point, what I do, I just use the tape measure as a straight edge, and then I just connect the lines. Same thing for the vertical lines. All right, so there's the outline of our box. Now what I do, I take an old pocket hole bit. This went to my Porter cable. It's extremely long, but I just have this bushing here. It's the same pocket hole bushing that you'd normally use on your pocket holes. And I just have it set pretty shallow there. So as soon as I punch through, there's no chance of me sending this thing into my leg or into the floor or into anything that's around me. So that bushing stops it. And then I drill in this corner and the opposite corner, so that I can just drop the jigsaw in there. So it'd be like this. Let's see. I'll just get it on the corner. See if I can get a better angle for you. You can see how fast it just wants to pull through. So that's why I use that bushing. So now that I have it at opposite corners right there, I can just drop a jigsaw blade in there and then go this way, drop it in this hole this way and this way. That way I don't have to turn with the jigsaw. I just prefer not to do that. So now I can drop into that second hole. And then this should should fit perfectly where my outlet will still hang over and grab the board. So that's what you want to be sure of. These pieces of metal right here on this outlet, they need to touch that board so that when you screw it in, it just pulls it tight. So this right here will be perfect. You can see the 2 screw holes are still exposed. So you don't want to measure for this cutout. You want to measure for the outside of the box where you can still get those screws in. And that is how you do it. And then when you drop this thing in, just be careful that you don't get that glue on the outlet. So I just pull it through at an angle. And then you also don't want to get that glue on any of the wainscot itself. So that's essentially it for the install in this room. I got 3 more of those panels to do where I cut out for the outlets like I just did, and I'm done. I'm done up here as far as cutting and installing. The next thing will be a lot of sanding, nail filling, prepping and priming and painting. Then up here we're gonna do a wallpaper, which I probably won't do myself just because I don't have the skill or really the desire to take on that project. But it'll be cool. This is actually gonna be a school room, like a learning craft room for the kids. I was gonna make this my office, but I just don't really even need that. I have a desk downstairs in my bedroom and just a computer. I don't need a whole room for myself. So the plans have changed for it, but this is gonna be a really cool room for the kids. They can have this nice trim work in here, which by the way, as far as priming, I primed this one in the last video, but that's the video that crashed. I wanted to make sure this is the look that I wanted before I went ahead and did it everywhere. And it's really hard to visualize with this brown board and all this kind of rough look to it. So I just sprayed this wall with a primer and I was like, I really, really like that. So that's what we went with, obviously. But I really appreciate you guys watching this video. Thanks for your patience on this project. Thanks to my wife for her patience on this project, because this is taking way too long. But we'll eventually get it done, and I'm just happy to be back up here doing this work. One other thing, don't forget, the DEWAUKEE shirts will be at the link in the top of the description. Success Print Shop will be the guy doing it, and he does high quality stuff. So he's gonna be selling these shirts. So grab yourself one if you're interested. But other than that, really appreciate you guys' support and watching these videos, and let me know if you have any questions or comments down below, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.